Hi everyone, welcome back to our short videos on business studies. Today we're going to look at again how to answer questions, specifically essay questions. And essay questions, as you can see on my screen right now, there is a question. Explain the differences between autocratic and democratic leadership. As usual, we'll look at a few steps. The first step being underline keywords, as you can see on my screen. So what do? We need to underline what are the important things to remember about this question, so it helps us in coming up with the points to answer, right? So first of all, we need to explain what the differences between autocratic and democratic leadership. And I'll also circle the marks given here, which is 8 marks. So it tells me exactly how much I need to write or how many points I need to put into my essay, right? So let's put a tick to the word underline keywords because we have done that. Now the next step is to identify the differences before we do the third step, which is explain. So we've got to identify the differences required. So what are the differences between autocratic and democratic leadership? So let's do that here. We'll put the word autocratic leadership here, and we'll put another word called democratic leadership. How do we identify the differences here? Perhaps we can look at two different aspects. We can look at decision making, on how these leaders make decision. All right. And we can also perhaps talk about their communication style. All right, how do they communicate to others or to their employees, right, when they are making decisions and things like that? So there you have 2 points or 2 areas that we can talk about to differentiate, all right, the differences between autocratic and democratic leadership. Now those are just the 2 points, but have we explained? We have not explained. Okay, so let's look at some points that we can talk about when we compare autocratic and democratic concerning decision making. All right, so in terms of decision making, right, an autocratic leader and a democratic leader have different ways of making decision, right? An autocratic leader focuses on power and authority, right? So the decisions made is normally instructed, right? It is basically assigned to the employee without much room, right? So it's basically an instruction to follow, all right, without any room for no room for discussion. All right. So an autocratic leader emphasizes on power and authority, right? When making decision, it is more of an instruction to comply. All right, instruction to comply, right? Without any room for discussion, which means the employee would just need to follow through on the instruction given by the autocratic leader. Okay. For a democratic leader, what do they focus on? Is it the same in terms of power and authority? It's more towards being very liberal, all right? They are looking at mutual respect. Okay? So the decisions that they make is in a way or more towards a shared decision making. Right? So they allow discussion, right? To allow the employee to also share their thoughts and their view, so that the decision making that is made is a more conclusive, justified one, right? That involves the employee input as well. So in terms of decision making, you can see in this point itself, you can elaborate this in one paragraph. All right, one paragraph talking about decision making and comparing autocratic and democratic leadership. All right. Now, you also need to do the same for communication style. Right. In terms of communication style, let's just put A and D here. All right. How does an autocratic leader communicate? It is basically a one way, right? Very much instructing or instructional method, right? Which means do not allow any form of response from employees, right? Which means it's more of a direct method. And this is probably because they do not have trust on their employees, right? And they believe that the employees need to be instructed rather than, anything else, because they want to avoid mistakes, for example. All right. A democratic leader allows for two-way communication. All right. This allows feedback. And this helps to improve decision making or improve communication. Okay. This is because the democratic leader is very much looking into providing mutual respect to their employees. They believe that the employees are capable of giving feedback, is able to provide input, and that makes the decision making or whatever it is that the task at hand even more efficient, effective, productive, and things like that. So now these are the two paragraphs that you can come up with. All right, which needs to be elaborated in full. These are merely the point form. Now, why am I putting a point form like this? Because most of the time we start with just writing away, right, without planning our thoughts properly. And if you're able to come up with something like this in a very short span of time, this would really help you in writing a very fulfilling answer in your essay. Please ensure you have 2 paragraphs broken down correctly, explain elaboratively, and of course, not too long, not too short, giving just adequate information to explain to the examiner how well you know about autocratic and democratic leadership. Okay, so there you go. This is how you answer this question. I hope this has helped you in a way. Until we meet again in the next video, have a wonderful day ahead.